And we are back. Welcome, everybody, into Season 2 of Scoop City. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini. We've got the latest on the hold-ins, the holdouts, contract negotiations, and what second-year quarterbacks will steal the show this season. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest scoop. And speaking of quarterbacks stealing the show, hello, Chase.
Hi, I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the NFL, and we are back. How about it? Crazy.
How about it?
It seems like it's been too long, but we also did like 100 episodes.
Yeah, season 1 was a hit. We loved it. We loved all the people that joined our show. We loved all the feedback and the comments that we got from you guys. And we actually took a lot of your feedback seriously in some of our summer meetings about what we wanted to do with this show. So you spoke up. We heard you. We're going to make some adjustments. And I think this is going to be a different type of Scoop City season that's going to be a lot better, with a lot more news coming at you, a lot more analysis, and Chase with some really good creative ways of talking about the quarterbacks this year, especially today when we get into it. So
yes. A lot more surprises coming down the road too.
Yes.
We're excited.
It's pretty cool. Chase and I were in Denver together just about a week ago, and we hit the ground running there to talk to the stars of the Broncos, including their head coach and, of course, Bo Nix, the quarterback. So it was just cool to hang out there. It was the first time I've been around you since the Super Bowl. Which
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. And my immediate observation was you are jacked. So I don't know what's going on.
I started taking creatine. I had never taken creatine in my entire life and decided, 1, it's good for brain health. 2, I'm almost 40. I could use a little extra strength boost, and it's definitely helped.
It has. You are massive. You are a large human. I noticed it when we were at the Denver airport, and I think we were on the escalators, and I was like, my goodness, you just look like a jacked running back. So good for you.
My wife and I both did it too, and she's jacked too now. So it's great. We're jacked.
Jack season. That's what we're talking.
Season.
Jack season here on Scoop City. I gotta catch up. I gotta get back on it. I got a little lazy this summer, but I'm gonna be joining you soon. So we've got 31 days until kickoff for this new season here, and I know it's moving quick. Even though it's been really busy. We've had tons of stories. We've got Terry McLaurin still waiting on a deal in Washington. He's asked for a trade. We've got Trey Hendrickson still waiting for a deal in Cincy. But we got to start with the big story that really began last week. It's been hovering over the Dallas Cowboys this entire offseason, and that's Micah Parsons requesting a trade, something that I don't think a lot of people expected him to actually do, to say the words, I don't want to be a Dallas Cowboy. But first, before we hop into all the things that we know about it, let's get right to it and hear Jerry Jones over the weekend at Cowboys training camp in Oxnard. Basically, not too concerned about a potential deal getting done.
Jerry, are you considering trading Micah Parsons?
Well, let's put it like this. Surely you guys have been around this stuff and know to recognize negotiation talk, that type of thing, and so that's where I put that.
So are you considering it?
I'm not. At this, the facts are that that's like anything else. I think the world of Micah, and that's just part of negotiation.
Would you ever consider trading Micah?
Again, I don't really place that with any real seriousness. Micah's got a bad back. That's like being traded.
Did the request take you by surprise?
Y'all weigh it the same.
Did the request take you by surprise?
Again, no, that's negotiation. I've heard that so many times in my 30 years in the NFL about from not just players but agents, and of course we all understand contracts. We're under contract. That's what we're doing. We're looking at adjusting the contract, but we're under contract, and we're in camp, and that's the way the rules are set up. But that is old stuff, 30 years of old stuff. Some of these issues we're hearing about trading, hurt backs, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, Jerry.
My back? What are you talking about? First of all, like, I get this is how you do business. You did it with Dak Prescott. You did it with CeeDee Lamb. But to have Jerry come out consistently, shot after shot after shot, at one of the top 6 or 7 best players in the NFL, he says he's dealt with this before. He's never dealt with a trade request from a player quite like Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a game changer. And for him to go out there and to be able to just say this stuff, he's like, he's playing into the old adage, like, hey, if you're under contract, you show up and play. That ain't how it works anymore. So I am on Micah Parsons' side.
All right, let's do it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league. All right, so it seems that everybody knows the details of this story, but it's probably worth backtracking slightly here, right? To last week when we reported at The Athletic that Micah Parsons could be requesting a trade. And the blowback to that was wild because nobody thought that he would actually do it. And I had heard that he had that note written for a while in his drafts folder.
Really?
And
Wait,
he
what?
was really waiting for the right time here to put it out there. And they made the decision late last week to do it. We weren't certain when the actual day would be, but word started to spread around the league that Micah Parsons and his agent were going to make a very, very big splash, something that people would not expect. And asking for a trade was just that. Now, you heard Jerry here. He didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I actually do think it's a big deal because players don't want out in Dallas, ever.
No.
They may be
They
frustrated.
want to play for Dallas.
But they want to be, and I've had people ask me too of like, well, why? Why do Dallas players want to stay in Dallas? And there's a lot of reasons, from just the prestige of being a Dallas Cowboy to the opportunities that you get in life after being a Dallas Cowboy.
That's the
and
one.
of how much life changes.
It's when you wear a star on your helmet. Like I'm from Dallas. Like I'm from Irving. I remember the big 3, right? Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. I grew up in that heyday, and I can go on and on about their team. There's something to be said, and it's a marketing genius. It's the marketing machine of Jerry Jones to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Like I grew up a Dallas Cowboys player. I always wanted to play for them. And it hits different when there's a star in your helmet because you are recognized not only nationally, but worldwide. The Dallas Cowboys are the biggest brand in football, and it ain't even close. Sorry for any other team that thinks they are. That is the marketing genius of Jerry Jones. So when you have that, it's almost like the new age New England Patriots in the dynasty. You see all these guys get these high-profile media jobs. You get paid buku's amounts of money to go speak, and there's no different than what the Dallas Cowboys is. You think Micah Parsons' podcast would be as big or as huge if he played for the Green Bay Packers? I love the Green Bay Packers, but small market, or the Raiders might be, but that's bad. But let's just use Green Bay Packers. Like, no, it wouldn't. And so there's other walks of life that make it really, really good to play for the Dallas Cowboys.
And if you are new to Scoop City, you may have missed when we had Stephen Jones on in season 1, we talked about the Cowboys' interest in Chase. So I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
You could have been a Cowboy.
I know.
They knew you well, especially because you had such a great high school career, and it was obviously so close to where the Dallas Cowboys play. But that being said, the sticky issue here, and Micah laid it out. Essentially, they had, Micah had a conversation with Jerry Jones over a few days, and he just thought it was a conversation about leadership. And they did discuss the contract, by the way. Like, they discussed numbers, they discussed guaranteed money. This, according to people I spoke to. And so, in the team's mind, they thought they had a deal in place. And for Micah, he thought he was just discussing what it could potentially be. So when he informed his agent of what had happened, his agent is like, "Yeah, no, you're not negotiating your contract at 26 years old when this is what I do." And you can't allow that. So
it's an interesting dynamic though, because Jerry's always sort of done this with his star players, right? Like it's been known that, hey, he goes in and tries to talk to him, right? And so what's different from this Micah Parsons situation?
He didn't say no, right? Dak Prescott was approached about this, and Dak said no. Talk to Todd France, my agent. Micah engaged, right?
Gotcha.
By the way, I'm not saying any of this is right? I don't think what Jerry did was fair.
No, you're telling us what happened.
But there's also, I've heard the side of it of Micah had every opportunity to say, I'm not doing this, but he chose to continue to talk about this. Now, look, I don't know if Micah assumed that, or was understood that this was leading to where Jerry thought it was going. But I like to think you've got two adults in a room that can make decisions for themselves. But I can see why Micah is disappointed, upset, and then the continued shots that Jerry has been taking during this entire process, which I guess is kind of normal for Jerry.
Not like this. Not like this. This seems different to me, Dianna.
It seems personal.
It seems personal, and I don't want to say hatred because that's a crazy word. But this should be one of the easiest contracts to get done in all the NFL. You wait, Myles Garrett, TJ, all these guys get their deals, and you go and say, okay, here's a slot, $1 million more. Like you're going to make $41 million, which, by the way, the salary cap's going up to $300 million in a few years, if not next year. Like that's going to look like a steal of a deal for a guy that's a joker that plays all 5 positions on the defensive line. He can drop into coverage, he can pass rush. He's the quickest way to ruin a game. Now I'm not going to say he's just the best pure pass rusher in the league, but he's up there. He's one of the best players in the league. Like just this, the Dallas Cowboys, Dianna, they do this time and time again. But it should not be that difficult, in my opinion, for a franchise and an organization to pay their great players early and pay them what they're worth. Because a year from now, it'll look like a deal. Jerry Jones has lost almost like $30 million because he didn't get his deal done like right after the season. There's been guys that have surpassed it at every step. Now you're looking at paying him $41, $42 million a year. So not only is he losing money, but he's losing respect from the locker room.
Yeah, and when you take a look at all the things that he's accomplished, it is very obvious. But here's what I wonder, Chase, and you tell me how you think this goes. You made it seem as if the contract should be easy at 41. This was before all of this. How much do you think this now changes his number because Jerry has made this difficult and Micah's missed practice in training camp? Yeah. And we've talked about on the show, we actually love to talk about on the show, love to highlight it at least, that players always say when they miss training camp, it hurts them. It's just, it's very black or white. There's no gray. It's, I wanted to be there. And look, I know he knows how to take care of his body and do the things he needs to do to get ready. And he's that type of player. But if you're his agent, are you now saying, okay, the new price is this?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I don't think that's the case because there's only going to be so much you surpass the highest paid defensive rusher, right? The defensive end. But what I do think it does is it puts pressure because, like you were saying, you hit it right on and you just sort of glossed over it, is they want Micah practicing and on the practice field as soon as possible because there will be a let up if he's not out there because game shape is way different than practice shape. You have to be out there getting in game shape through practices. And they run tough practices, and especially with the new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, and there's all sorts of storylines in Dallas on the line outside of just Micah. It's been Micah. There's so many other questions about the Dallas Cowboys. We don't know how they're going to play. We don't know how Dak's going to do. We don't know how first-time head coach Brian Schott. This is overlapping, and this is exactly what Jerry Jones wants us to do. I don't think it changes the number. I think it might change the guarantee. I think they might say, hey, we want a higher guarantee. So the APY, the average per year for listeners out there, that might say the same, say at 41 and a half. I'm just going to guess, right? 42, whatever. But the guarantee, we had 2.5 years guarantee. Let's make it 3 years guarantee. I think that's really what players look at in the contract. I don't care about APY, average per year. I care about how much of my contract is guaranteed.
Okay, so prediction, right? It's early August. Is this done by week 1? Like, do you think that this gets fixed? Do you think all the smoke goes away? And they're hugging and
yeah. First of all, there's no way they're going to trade Micah Parsons. I will go out on a limb and say there's just no way, right? This is a classic technique by a player to go out there and get some more attention, be like, hey, I mean business. I'm holding in, which is the new age. It's not really holdouts anymore because they get fined like $1 million if they miss, 10 practices or something. It's crazy. But I do think it gets done. I mean, you look at Dak, right? Dak was done week 1. Or maybe CD was done before. I do think that's the case. It's going to be interesting, though, if this is more pressure on Jerry to get this done because he wants Micah to actually practice and be in game shape, because then you go out and you risk injury. He's the best player on the defense. There's question marks about the defense. All these things have to come into play.
I think the next step in this, as we're all watching it, is when will Jerry Jones pick up the phone, or when will David Mulugeta call Jerry Jones and they actually have a conversation? Because a deal will not get done until there's communication between them. And I have yet to hear that they've had anything formal yet. So until we hear that, we're just
How much of this is ego from both of these guys? All of it, right? I don't want to be the first one to make a move. When do you put Mulugeta and Jerry Jones and say, this isn't about us, this is about Micah? And it just seems like this is not about Micah. This is about two guys with a lot of power. That's how I see it. And just come together and get a deal done. Get them in training camp. Forget about the drama, even though Jerry loves it. I know that probably won't, but I don't know. That's how I see it.
Everyone's got all these theories that Jerry does this on purpose, and look at it like we're talking about this. We're back for season 2. It's the first thing we're getting into. Think about if this wasn't happening. We're leading with what, you think? We're talking about what?
Terry McLaurin.
Maybe Terry, but maybe we're even just starting with talking about the second-year quarterbacks, which is what we're going to do in the next block. Like, maybe that's just more interesting at this point. But when Micah Parsons asks for a trade, this is going to be a story until he's signed up, until they get a deal done. And it's going to be a story in Washington with Terry McLaurin, who we know has led the Commanders in receiving yards in each of his first 6 seasons. He wants a new contract. He held out, then came back, and it's kind of like he's done a little bit of everything now. And we see him on social media. He's there every day. Media's covering it. And that is the benefit of showing up when you're holding in, right? You've got the cameras, you got the reporters. You're being covered like a side story, if not the story, while you're watching an offense play without their best receiving, or without their best receiver. So here's where things stand now. From what I can gather, nothing has changed significantly yet. Okay, so I know there's some talk out there that McLaurin is looking for that identical contract of DK Metcalf.
That's what I heard.
I heard there's parts of that contract that he's looking for, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the exact APY, right? Gotcha. Because the thing that's holding Washington back from jumping in, despite the fact that they love Terry. I mean, Dan Quinn has been phenomenal in speaking about his player of like, we love you, like we got to do this. And even Terry's been great he even gave the organization a heads up and personally told Dan Quinn
you don't see that
he was
going to
ask for a trade, right? Like, do you think Micah like called every? No, and I mean, this isn't like comparing one to the other, but it's just this is the type of guy Terry is, and I think they're at a point right now where Washington's saying, for us, you're turning 30 years old on September 15th, right? That's in just a few months here, to give you a contract that is relative to the receivers that we're seeing get paid who are younger just doesn't make sense. Whereas obviously we know the Terry side of this is you have had success because of me. I am the best weapon for Terry. And there's a little bit of a tax, I think, that the McLaurin camp wants paid of what Terry's done before Jaden arrived.
I was going to ask that because he's one of the guys who's been through it all, right?
But that doesn't always get you paid. And this is a new regime. They weren't there when Terry was there, right? So there's a lot of factors here. I just think the Dan Quinn element to this is important because of the culture he wants and is building there. Yeah. And you would think that Washington sort of wants to put the league on notice in a good way of, hey, you come to Washington and you do things the right way and you perform, you're going to get rewarded. Yeah. And there's a lot of people around the league who've said like Washington dragged their feet on this. Like they could have gotten this done. There was no reason for them to draw this out, especially with a player like Terry. So,
he's the number one receiver. And that's what, to me, I think that all these really, and including Trey Hendrickson, which we might talk about, like all these, this has been like the story of the NFL, right? It's like the massive star players that want money, that are holding out, yada, yada, yada. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, does all the right things. He says all the right things. He's the ultimate teammate. Now, I agree with you with Dan Quinn. How many players do you know that just go up and, hey, coach, just so you know, like that open communication should, one, tell you a lot about Scary Terry. Two, tell you a ton about Dan Quinn and how he runs the organization. And look, Dan Quinn was forgotten about. Was the last head coach hired in the hiring cycle when he was hired, and all they do the first year is go to the NFC Championship game. Like, they're building something special there, and they've done it with, this is what's crazy, they've done it with a lot of older players. I can see them wanting to get younger. You don't walk away from your number one receiver. And then you factor in the relationship with Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry. You have a little bit more wiggle room. Give them $30 million a year. That seems to me like a bargain. Maybe I'm crazy, but now with receiver contracts going up and up and up, Scary Terry, Jaden Daniels, they're scary duo together. And you got to keep your quarterback happy while he's on a rookie contract. To me, if the defense can play a little better, if Jaden doesn't have a sophomore slump, like, their Super Bowl window's open. They got to the freaking NFC Championship game last year.
It's champagne problems to me. These are good problems, right? When you have a young quarterback.
I've never heard
only
of champagne problems. What is that?
They're good problems to have. You want to have issues with champagne. If you're popping champagne, it's just like, really, it's not that big of a deal. Only 4 teams have more projected cap space for 2026. When the Commanders should have roughly $62.3 million available, and in 2027 their cap room looks to balloon to like $190 million, which is the second most in the NFL. And Jaden isn't eligible for an extension until 2027. So champagne problems, like, it's okay. Like, you have the money, you take it, right? And the McLaurin side is just continues to just pound the drum of, he hasn't missed a game since 2020. He's covered by all the number one corners in his entire career, and he's never had a teammate up top 700 yards receiving.
Thank you, because as a defensive coordinator, it completely changes how you play the Washington Commanders if Scary Terry's not on the field. Like you're covering the tight ends, you have more in the box for the run game. He's the guy, the vertical threat. He can play in the slot, he can play everywhere. So that's a great call by you. It literally changes it. Now, he's going to be there. It's just, you got to pay him because you don't want him not there. Like, right? Like, what are we doing?
So I'm going to put you on the spot just slightly because I just want to rip through. Let's just do the top 5 receivers paid right now, right? Jamar Chase is 25. He makes 40.25. Justin Jefferson, he's 26. He makes 35. CeeDee Lamb, 26, makes 34. DK Metcalf, 27. He makes 33. And Garrett Wilson, who we just saw recently get a new deal at 32.5 at 25 years old, and then A.J. Brown follows behind that. So you can see what Washington's saying, because Tyreek Hill's the only one that's a top paid wide receiver at $30 million. He's 31. Yeah. And he's slowed down. So do you think here McLaurin has an argument, or are you seeing what Washington's saying?
I think Scary Terry has an argument. I don't think he's that top-notch guy that you can put and just say, hey, he's for sure a top 5 receiver, right? You wouldn't say that about DK Metcalf right now, and he's up there. It's just timing the market is so crucially important, and he's trying to get his worth. He's 30. This will be his last big payday. And I'm all for players, and because I was a player and whatever, getting as much as you possibly can, as long as you possibly can. And this is probably going to be his last contract. I don't think, just on film, that 30 years old is some crazy big number for receivers. I know GMs think differently. People are taking better care of their bodies. He seems to be in great shape. He hasn't had a ton of injury concerns through his career. Just pay the guy. Plus, he's a good guy. If you are about the culture that you're talking about, just pay your dude.
Yeah, I think even after this trade request, he ends up with a new deal in Washington before the season opener, because the team wants him back. You know, they rebuilt the roster to give Daniels more protection and more offensive options, and they feel all in. Right? Yeah. So why wouldn't you want your number one guy out there? So we'll see how this unfolds. Just doesn't feel as spicy as the Parsons situation, you know? Like, this is important, but it feels a little nasty in Dallas compared to Washington.
Because the Commanders don't have the star in their helmet. It's not Jerry Jones.
I know. Well, I'll be around the Commanders soon, so I'll report back here on Scoop City soon on what the vibes are there. So another hold-in we've been watching during training camp has been Trey Hendrickson and Cincy. The Bengals worked things out finally with their rookie Shamar Stewart during the summer. We saw that go down, but Trey is still waiting for a deal, and we've been in touch with him trying to just get a idea of what the plan is. You know, when you're holding in after holding out, because if you recall, he thought he was getting a deal done. Like, he felt really good that they would come together here right before veterans were reporting. Even the night before, he was at his home with his family, across from where they train, waiting for his agent to be like, all right, we got a deal. And he was going to show up for camp the next day. And then after 2 offers from the Bengals, after what he thought was going to have the guaranteed money that they discussed prior, because his agent had good conversations with Cincinnati about having 2-year guaranteed money.
Yeah.
When the formal offer came in, it wasn't there. So
slap in the face.
Think about how disheartening that is. And look, Trey, it does not matter how mad Trey can be about any of this, how frustrated he is going to lead with how important it is that he does the right thing for the team. And you know him way better than I do.
Yeah.
My sense is he doesn't like any of this attention. No. He doesn't want any of this. He just wants to play football. He just wants to be paid what he's worth and get back on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals.
He's a football player. He doesn't even wear gloves, Diana. Like, come on. Like, what pass rusher do you know? That is a football player. He wants to play football, and we talked about this on the show before. And obviously, this is because you've sort of owned the reporting on this. I feel like you've talked to him, and I just think he wants to be paid what he's worth. When you lead the league in sacks, and I know the Bengals are notoriously cheap because that's what they are, right? They usually don't give second-year guarantees. If all you have and all you want as a player is a second-year guarantee, now the APY has got to be good. I feel like, and I'm very pro player on this, just pay him, because look at their offense. Their offense is loaded. They've given Joe Burrow everything he wants except for Trey Hendrickson. It's a new look defense on that side. You can't go into the year without your star guy who led the league in sack. Don't you want to make him happy? And I get there's this back and forth, and teams have to make these decisions, but you're seeing with Shamar Stewart too. It's just like the Bengals are consistently in the news about the language of their contracts, and it's ridiculous.
Remember we talked about this during the offseason of how are they going to do all these deals? And we kept saying Trey was going to be left out.
Done.
Yeah. And then after the combine, when I got back, I spoke with some people involved, and it sounded like, no, they want Trey. And I remember thinking, like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do this? And here we are now. So the latest that I can tell you about where the situation is nothing. There's nothing new with what's going on between the Bengals.
What's
and
your
Trey
read
Hendrickson.
on this? When does it get done? If it gets done.
I mean, I'm going to be hopeful that this is going to get done before week 1. I've got to be. I just don't know who's going to give. I don't know. And look, the theme with all this stuff too is who's got the stomach for it. You know, because it takes a certain type of angle and gut, I think, to be okay with missing and people talking about you. You know, like that's another part of this. The fans start turning on you. Yeah. I think he's a good soul. I think he just wants to play football, as you said. Meantime, we got James Cook is still waiting on a new deal. In Buffalo, he's been working out with the team. This one's kind of gone, below the radar a bit because, he showed up, he's out there, and then Sunday it all changed. He didn't practice with the team. Monday he didn't practice with the team. And he said it's all about business, quote, right? Like when they were asking him, like, what are you doing? Why? He's like, it's just business. Mm-hmm. Look, I can tell you from what I gather, I don't think the deal's actually that far apart. I don't think it's one of these situations where we're seeing in Washington where it feels like there's a lot of numbers in between, a lot of space between the numbers that both sides want.
Yeah.
I don't think the gap is as big here. I just think this is like applying a little pressure of let's get this done. So we'll see if it goes off the rails. I don't think this is going to be one of the wild ones that, like the ones that we spoke about, the three previous ones.
I hope not, because when you look at the film and you look at James Cook the last 2 years with Joe Brady as offensive coordinator, what have the Buffalo Bills done specifically really, really well since Ken Dorsey got fired. It's run the freaking football.
Yep.
And there's a reason why Josh Allen got an MVP, not because of James Cook, right? James Cook had an amazing year, 15-something touchdowns, whatever it was. I'm not exactly sure. This
16,
offense,
you're right.
16, I'm pretty good. See, it's been a while. Come on now. This offense obviously runs through Josh Allen, but everything is set up through the run game there. You watch them on film. You watch what they're able to do. It just sets them up to have a true number one back. He's not only good in the backfield, he's good out of the backfield as well, in the pass routes, all this stuff. So it's going to be interesting. It doesn't seem like you were saying to me, but we'll see. Business is business.
Yeah, and so he wants this. He's made it known. He's pretty public. He wants a $15 million per year range type deal, right? So that puts him on par with the Ravens. Derrick Henry behind Christian McCaffrey, behind Saquon. They're about 19 to 20 mil, respectively. And look, the Bills got some deals done this summer too, with their cornerback, with Benford, their defensive end. They did contracts. This is just the last one they do. And I just don't think this is going to be one of those things that drags out. But again, having a lot of conversations. What do we know? But having conversations with people who do know things around the league, they always just point to the Rams, the Texans, the Eagles, the three teams that get stuff done early. You get it done early, you don't have to deal with any of this. It's all about how much money you have up front. There's a lot to be said about ownership and how this plays a role in all this. But speaking of ownership, I got some time with Greg Penner, the owner of the Denver Broncos. Well,
we were there.
Visit to Denver. He just gets it. And he gets it that his quarterback is the guy. He's probably also just listening to his head coach, who's in love with Bo Nix. So we know Bo had a superb rookie season, but what is on tap for season 2? Here what the Denver quarterback told us next in his sophomore season. We'll take a listen when we return. We'll be right back. All right, back here on Scoop City, Bo Nix set multiple records for a Broncos rookie quarterback last season. He led the team to 10 wins. Hall of Famer John Elway only made it 4 wins in his rookie season. So what is next in year 2? So we caught up with Nix at Broncos training camp. Take a listen. All right, joining us now is Denver Broncos starting quarterback Bo Nix, who 1 year ago we were sitting here watching you out there, and everything was new. Everything was different. You didn't admit or tell us that you were nervous. But now that you've had this year, were you really nervous last year? Tell us the truth.
I don't think I had enough thought to even be nervous. I was thinking about so many other things, but it's a lot easier this year, just for so many different reasons. Already being in a huddle, knowing everybody, just new same system, and it's the first time since my junior and senior year in high school I had the same system back-to-back years. So wow. I've been,
Wait.
What a difference!
Wait. It's your first year. So I want to make since junior, senior in high school, since you've had the same system.
Yeah, every system in college, all 5 years was different. And then here, last year was different. So we're going, basically that's 7 systems in 7 years. But this year, it's all review. So I get to do everything again, and it's so much better.
How does it feel stepping on the field? Because I was able, Sean, let me be out there with you guys, just standing behind and watching just the operation. A lot of fans don't understand just the comfort level of the operation. Forget about on a play call what you have to do. You're not thinking, right? What is the biggest jump you feel? This is only the first day of pad, so we get that. But so far from year 1 to year 2.
Well, I can actually see and react to a defense now, and I'm not seeing and react to what our play is. So, break the huddle.
Yeah.
You usually got a cadence, a motion, the play, footwork, and then you got to look at the defense last. So now all that other stuff before the actual play, I kind of feel like it's second nature, and I'm not really thinking as much. I can go faster. I can get my eyes in the right spot on defense, and then usually that's where your reaction time and the physical part of the game speeds up, and you look a little bit better.
So with the operation, and I'm glad you said that, when you break in the huddle, take me through your process, because there's a lot of differing processes for quarterbacks. When you break the huddle, obviously eyes go to the play clock, but then where do your eyes go next? Take us through from huddle to snap for you.
So if it's a run play, get to the line, okay, see the front, ID the mic, get the motion, get everybody set up, make sure we're at a line to execute the play. So once we're aligned, you sometimes have just one play and you roll it with it, and you react from there. Sometimes you got a double play. You have to ID certain keys on defense, kill the play, get guys in the right spot, get back to action. Sometimes actions change from outside zone to tossing the other way. So those types of things are much easier because I can get up there and I know what to kill operation is. I know why we're killing it. I know where I'm looking at. I know where to get set up.
Yep.
And then if it's a pass, same thing. ID the front. That'll help with protections. ID the mic for the protection scheme, and then you got to look and see where the balls are being thrown. And ID safeties, other things like that.
It's a lot that goes on. There's only 25
There's
seconds
a lot that
to
goes
do
on.
that.
And then the next layer is like, okay, where my matchup? Who's actually in with me? Where my receivers at? What pressure are they bringing? How can I get the line to block it? How can I get my backs out? How can I get the best access for my receivers? How can I get Cortland or Evan, somebody matched up on another player, and make sure that I ID that? And the last thing you want to do is get back in the film room and say, man, this was a better matchup, but I chose the other side because I was thinking about too many different things. But now I can just get up there, 5 seconds, ID the mic, make sure I'm good protection. Then I can look at the corners, the back end. I can look at my receivers, see what kind of matchups I'm getting, and then I can go much faster.
Or watching this, and I've never done this. I've never done this, obviously, as a quarterback. Yet you're doing all this, you're learning all this, and it sounds like you have it down now. But then you have a playbook from Sean Payton that's not easy. So how have you been able to learn all this and feel confident like you appear you are at this moment?
Well, the good thing about our playbook is it's a lot of words, but that's really what they are. It's just words. You're just telling guys where to line up. You're basically telling everybody what to do instead of just saying one thing and everybody knowing from that one thing what to do. So, you'll give a formation. You'll say a word that flips a receiver. You'll say another word that condenses the formation. You'll say a ball handling word. You'll say the hole that you're running to, and then the scheme that you're running, and then the formation just kind of ties it all together. So it sounds
easy, right?
difficult.
Yeah,
It sounds difficult from when you first show up and you hear this big long sentence of a play. You're like,
what is this?
I mean, that's not even possible. And then you learn it, and then it makes sense because
Yeah.
you know why that guy has to be there.
Yep.
You know why you're condensing the formation. You know why you're running this.
It's learning versus understanding too, right? It's like you get the why of why you're doing this stuff, so it makes it easier to comprehend.
And last year I was just memorizing
Yeah,
things.
you're just like,
and so I know on this play I'm doing this, but now I actually okay, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah. Well, Bo Nix certainly has grown up this past year. I mean, he sounds different. I think he looks different. He obviously admitted that he's understanding and comprehending at a different level now with this year of experience under his belt on top of course, the 5 years that he played in college. You were next to him during practice. You were listening and watching closely because they gave us that tremendous access when we were on the ground. What were some of the things that you just observed from Bo?
Well, I mean, you heard it there. I think the biggest thing is he's a nerd. Like, he loves nerding out about football. Like, he loves talking about it. And I'm a nerd. So we got together and we were just able to talk and chat. And even like after a throw, like he was throwing an out route to his left, like 1, 2, 3, hitch ball, meaning your footwork. He'd come off and he'd go right to Davis Webb, and I'd be standing right by Davis Webb. And he'd be like, I'm like, yeah, you hitched instead of like a 3-plant throw. Like, and he's like, he knows what he's doing wrong. He knows what he needs to improve. And I just think for a second-year quarterback, now he's 24, right, 25, that is growth. And I think the number one thing that I noticed being on the field for the entire, I think they practiced for like an hour and 50 minutes, was one, Sean Payton kept coming up to me and saying, I love this quarterback. And it's real. Like, it's not fake. And I got to see why he loves that quarterback. And for me, one, how he interacts with his teammates, right? You know he's going to make the plays. He had 34 total touchdowns as a rookie last year. 2, how well he gets and understands the scheme. 3, how much more freedom at the line of scrimmage that Sean Payton is giving him to get in and out of plays, to handle the mic ID for run game and pass game. That means like, hey, you're setting the protection or you're setting the blocking scheme. He's getting more and more comfortable with that. And off to the side when we were talking, and he mentions it in the long form interview, is, man, he just feels like he can breathe, right? Like, there's so much of Sean Payton's offense that is so long, and they've shortened some play calls just a little bit to give him a little bit more time at the line of scrimmage to go out there and play. But he has really owned the offense. And I think that for him is specifically important. And I think this also brings, before I let you chime in again, I think this also brings a scheme and a strategy to the Denver Broncos offense, because he's way more athletic than a lot of people think. Like, he is able to move in and out of like pressure pass rush situations And I've said this before, and I'm not saying he's even remotely the player that Drew Brees is. His uncanny ability to see a pass rush and to move maybe 6 inches to the left or 6 inches to the right, he does it so quickly, and he's really good at these off-platform throws, which Sean Payton kept going. So, look, the sky's the limit. They're talking Super Bowl there. It was awesome access, and I'm a huge fan of the Broncos in general, but of Bo Nix too.
You know better than anyone that Sean Payton hates when his quarterbacks take sacks. Hates it. It's like exhausting when you talk to him post-game. If his quarterback gets
negative
hit.
plays, yeah,
negative plays, right? And look, that's why it didn't work with Russell Wilson. That was a big factor, right? It was all those sacks, and the fact that Bo, so young in his career, has done such a good job of avoiding sacks as well as he has. And look, credit to the offensive line; they're fantastic. They stayed healthy last year, and they're going to continue to be good. But I was talking to someone on the sideline just about the type of season Jaden Daniels had in comparison to Bo Nix. And we talked about Jaden so much because they went to the NFC Championship. And also because he was electric and the story of the year for sure. But you take Jaden out, I think we would be talking about Bo more. Even statistically, if you compare them.
Yeah, if you saw that through 8 weeks, they were statistically about the same. They were both Bo was being talked about for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I love the idea of him. First of all, it's just him admitting, I was just memorizing all that, but now I get it. Now I understand it. There is a difference.
Yeah.
And the part of this offense that I'm just still curious about, because I really thought that they were going to make a move for a weapon. The weapon they tell us that they have now is the run game. That's what they point to when you talk about the weapon in Denver. So we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we actually talked to head coach Sean Payton about the run game. But instead of just getting into this current team, we thought it would be fun to ask him about a player that he coached that he wishes he could have on this current Denver Broncos team, right? So basically he took it as his favorite player. That's not what this is. It's if you could replicate, carbon copy a player.
On any team, not just this team.
On any team he's ever coached.
Yeah.
And put on his roster moving forward, which player would that be? When we come back, we'll have that answer for you. All right, back here on Scoop City, the Denver Broncos getting tons of national attention right now as being one of the teams that appear to be in line to have some success this season, especially after head coach Sean Payton took over. And we spent a lot of time in Scoop City Season 1 discussing what Payton actually has installed there in Denver and what he's doing to change the culture and how charged up he is. And Chase, you even actually said, I've never seen him so refreshed, and you've been with him and you've known him for so many years. Yeah. So we thought it'd be interesting to pick his brain a little bit. He's got incredible recall, and he is very particular about who he thinks is great. So we thought it'd be fun to ask him if there's a player he'd love to replicate from his time as a head coach, who he coached, and bring on his current team. Here's our conversation with Coach Payton. If you could replicate any of the players that you've coached over the years, because we were going back talking about Chase's early days with you, and we were just going through your roster, and I was like, I wonder if there's a player, if he could just have on every one of his teams moving forward, who is it?
All right, so the question isn't who's my favorite player.
It's not who your favorite player is.
It's not. No.
Because I've got favorite people in my life, but they're not the best at what they do.
There's so many Jimmy Graham, Shockies, Breeze.
The first guy I said.
You said Jimmy Graham.
That's the answer.
No. The first guy I said was Jimmy Graham.
I'm giving you honorable mentions. Jim, listen.
The first one I said.
I'm so happy because he retired this year.
Yes.
But I think there was something about frickin' Darren Sproles.
Oh, we were talking about him earlier today.
And when I tell you this, and I just spoke to him, he's coaching now. All right. And he's reached out and he wants to get into it at this level. And he's going to do an internship for us next fall. And
that's really cool.
I'll never forget Drew saying every snap that he played with Darren, and I don't know how many snaps that was. Obviously, it was a lot. So the Chargers the same way. Drew said there wasn't one time on the field he surprised me with what he did. And his football IQ was off the charts.
Yeah.
And so, like a lot of these cut-ups that I'm grabbing, Harvey or Dobbins or any one of these backs up in the room, and we're going through, there's Reggie, there's Kamara, and Alvin's got those same. Listen,
He does. Never surprised you as a
So
quarterback.
smart.
never
Ever.
And so
Good
Alvin's
body
right
control.
there.
Yep.
Alvin's playing still, so we threw out those.
Yeah,
two.
yes, 100%.
But we're saying that they
God,
were.
I
I'm trying
said
to
Jimmy Graham.
apologize because I've had so many good players that I
Yeah,
don't
no,
want them to
I'm
see
with
this
you.
segment.
We're prefacing this
Yeah,
for
yeah.
those that
And
see it.
so,
This isn't
but
the
if
best.
you
This
said
is
a
just we can
unique
make it.
Unique,
skill
If we could
set,
just like make them again and put them even out
but
on
he
this
would
team.
do something.
There's
Great teammate.
There's the back you need.
But he would do something every time, like even something you'd never cover
Yeah.
on a choice route, slip under an end, come
Yeah.
up the field, and it was always the right thing.
3 yards exactly.
Yeah, and so Sprole's
Let's go.
one of those unique guys, and then you forget about his talent as a runner. I mean, but I've been lucky, and you've heard me talk about the receiver position, the significance of that, but then also those tight ends and runners that can get the closer matchups. And I don't know that I never say we took it for granted, but
Yeah.
man, we had some years where the jokers were everywhere.
Well, and yeah. I mean, from Pierre Thomas to Sproles to Reggie. I mean, you had it constant.
I just love the fact that we were so excited that we got the Jimmy Graham.
I
thing,
told you.
right? Like we
I
were
told
like
you in the
jumping out of
car.
our seat.
Well, you're not even telling me you're not even telling the backstory. So we're on the way to training camp. We fly in late the night before. We're on our way to training camp. We're with our producer, and we're talking about, hey, on these interviews, like, what can we talk about with Sean Payton and Bo Nix and Patrick Surtain and all that stuff? And you had a great idea. This is the idea. Who would you what player would you replicate? And what was within 2 seconds, what was the first name that came out of my head and brain and mouth and everything?
Well, it came out of your mouth, but it was in my head. You just said it faster. It was Jimmy Graham. It was Jimmy Graham, right? Because I've heard him talk about him before.
And Sean Payton said the first thing, Jimmy Graham. And I think it was awesome. The reason why I said Jimmy Graham before we get to Sprolesy, because I love Sproles. He texts me all the time. By the way, scoop here, he wants to get into coaching, which is awesome.
You should bring him on the show one day. Let's have him
he's
on
great.
Scoop. That'd be fun.
He's great. But with Jimmy, I think what he said was right, because the first one that popped in his head was Jimmy. The thing with Jimmy is he was like such a great teammate, like a sponge, but also like this insane player where Drew would just like throw jump balls in the back of the end zone, and it'd be like amazing, right? But it was all the off the field stuff. And then I think he went on to not only on the field, off the field, who's the type of and he landed on Sproles, and I couldn't agree more. Like I know, like Sproles and I are tight. Like Sproles is one of the best dudes I have ever met in my entire life, and I think they sort of want that, see that. They just drafted running back RJ Harvey. RJ's a little taller than Sproles, a little bit bigger, but very low to the ground when he runs. And I like that. And just having him say Sproles too, like I have a lot of good memories personally with Sproles, so I can absolutely see like why that was said.
My thought was when he said it was because he was immediately thinking about his current team and a need.
Yeah.
I thought that's why he did that, and maybe that's part of it, because he just reminds me of someone like in love. Like he has this like in love feeling way about him with this team.
Who does? Sean?
Yes.
Yeah.
He left me a voicemail this summer, and he didn't even say like hi, hello. All he said was, "I love my Q."
Yeah.
And
He's
hung up.
refreshed. He's refreshed. And it showed. I mean, I've been around Sean a long time. Sean found me out of Washington in 2009 and said, hey, come here, and you need to be here, and you need to do this, and sit behind Drew Brees. And I'm telling you, since 2009, and we talked, so this is the most refreshed I've seen him. Now it was early. It was the first day of pads, right? Like the wear and tear.
Everyone's fresh, yeah.
The wear and tear.
We were fresh.
We were fresh. We were like, it'll be interesting to see how it all
But what
works
do you
out.
make of the pushback? Because I've had people push back on it. Because I've been doing
what?
a bunch of different shows about the Broncos being good, about Sean being in love. Because he's doing this on purpose. He's not dumb. He is building up his team. And I look, I do
but
think
I don't
he
know.
believes in this team. How do you not with this defense, right? Like,
Yeah, I
how
mean,
pumped was he about Dre Greenlaw?
Dre-
He's
and
like, you got to watch.
Hufanga's
All
like,
them.
yeah.
You know, this is a team that hasn't been superb in the middle for a few years.
Yeah,
So the
I
fact
agree.
that they could now point to this, and you know, they made some good offseason moves, but yeah, I think he's bought in because he believes in it, and it's got his fingerprints all over it.
Yeah, and here's where I'll push back for the people pushing back on you or like the
Thanks.
Broncos is, man, they won 10 games last year with a rookie quarterback that no one really wanted, that just thought was like a check down merchant, that was like a completion. This is a completely different team this year. This defense will be better. You have a quarterback going into his second year with another weapon added in Evan Ingram, who they're super excited about. They love Marvin Mims. They love Franklin. Cortland Sutton's a beast. Like, you play in the toughest division in football outside the NFC North. I give and take on the AFC West and NFC North. They made the playoffs, and it was a close game for like a little bit with the Buffalo Bills, who had the MVP at home. So, and I know it's hard to replicate every year, and there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. I just think the foundation for where they're starting is so much higher, and he sees Super Bowl, and every coach, right, will say that. He's publicly saying it. He told me when they have team meetings, Diana, right, every background of the slide that they have is Lombardi Trophy. Like he said he didn't do that last year. Like, he feels that this team, and it's young too, no bad apples, and there's a lot of things that have to go their way, and you might think it's crazy, but I mean, I love that they're talking Super Bowl in Denver.
The Super Bowl tells you that they feel, at least from the coaching perspective, that in the organizational perspective, they built it right. Now they just got to go out and do it. And remember we talked to Andy Reid about going for 3, and we were pushing back on him, like, do you really want to talk about going for 3? I mean, you guys may want to just kind of keep it to yourselves. And he's like,
I
no.
think it's smart to talk about it.
Right? Because you believe in it. So Sean Payton with tons of insights and opinions and thoughts. We talked to him, so you're going to hear that full interview on our Thursday episode. We're just going to let that rip. He's awesome. And we talk about a lot of different topics with him, and just he's always so great on just the state of the Broncos, and also just giving us a hard time because that's just how he rolls. Also, our Bo Nix interview, we have more with him. That was just like a small snippet. So Thursday's episode of Scoop City, you'll be able to catch all of that in full. And let us know your thoughts in the comment section, too, on YouTube. Let us know what you think, if you're bought in, if you think maybe we're drinking the Kool-Aid. Because sometimes that happens.
whatever.
Well, you know.
Whatevs.
I actually feel like I'm negative when I go to these training camps. I'm always like, we'll see. And then I did leave Denver pretty pumped. So, look, season 2, here we go. We've got a full year. We're going to try to be really aggressive this season with guests. We're trying to get some more players, more coaches, more GMs on the show throughout the season. So we hope you guys hang with us. I want to actually even get some big name fans of teams to join. I love the perspective of the fan. It's refreshing, and they usually know their teams very well.
Let's do it.
So
I love
I'm
it.
hoping to get some of those types on the show this year. My goal this year is Tom Brady. I'm going to set it now. I'm going to set a high goal. Obviously, part owner of the Raiders. How weird is it seeing him in the Raiders gear? By the way, I can't get.
Yeah,
He's like
that was a little
strange.
weird.
Yeah,
We'll get him on.
Look
Get
at
him on.
you're such a believer. Is this the new Chase?
Can't be that hard.
You're always positive. That'll do it for us for today's edition of the show. Please like, subscribe for the latest scoop. For Chase Daniel, I'm Dianna Russini. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.